I still can't believe the words that came out of my mouth, the way I stood there, utterly calm, and just dropped that bombshell. My mother, bless her heart, always thought she had a firm grip on my life, but that day, at my sister Sarah's extravagant, over-the-top wedding reception, I shattered her entire perception of me. She looked at me, beaming, her arm linked with my father's, and said, "Sarah's wedding is absolutely perfect, isn't it? Everything she's ever dreamed of. When do you think it will finally be your turn, darling?" And without a flicker of hesitation, I looked her dead in the eye, a small, knowing smile playing on my lips, and replied, "It already happened, Mom." The silence that followed was deafening, a vacuum in the middle of a bustling celebration. People stopped talking, champagne glasses paused midair, and every single eye in that opulent ballroom turned to me. Was I wrong to steal my sister's thunder, even for a moment, after years of being overshadowed? Tell me, honestly, would you have done the same thing? Let me take you back, way back, to understand why that moment, that single sentence, held such immense weight. Growing up, Sarah was always the golden child, the prettier one, the smarter one, the one who excelled at everything from ballet to advanced calculus. I was just me, the quiet one, the artistic one, the one who preferred books and solitude to popularity and spotlights. My parents, while never explicitly saying it, made it clear who their favorite was through their actions. Sarah's achievements were celebrated with grand parties and expensive gifts. Mine were met with a polite nod and a, "That's nice, dear." I remember when I got into a prestigious art school on a full scholarship, a dream come true for me. My mother's response, "Oh, that's wonderful, but are you sure you wouldn't rather pursue something more stable, like law, like Sarah is planning?" The constant comparisons, the subtle dismissals, they chipped away at me over the years, leaving a deep, seated resentment that festered beneath a polite, unassuming exterior. I loved Sarah, truly, but I also felt like a permanent understudy in the play of my own life, always waiting for my cue that never quite came. Fast forward to a year before Sarah's wedding. She got engaged to David, a handsome, successful, and utterly charming man she'd met through her law firm. Their engagement was a whirlwind of social media announcements, lavish parties, and endless wedding planning discussions that dominated every family gathering. My mother was ecstatic, practically glowing with pride. My little girl is finally getting the wedding of her dreams. She'd gush to anyone who would listen. The wedding budget was astronomical, no expense spared. Sarah wanted a fairytale, and my parents were more than happy to provide it. Meanwhile, my life was, by all outward appearances, decidedly less glamorous. I was working as a freelance graphic designer, making enough to live comfortably in a small apartment, but certainly not enough to afford a diamond ring that cost more than my annual salary. I had been in a relationship with Alex for 3 years by then. Alex was everything Sarah's fiancé. Say wasn't he was quiet, thoughtful, a brilliant writer, and completely unfazed by societal expectations. He understood me in a way no one else ever had. We lived simply, loved deeply, and found joy in the small, everyday moments. We often talked about marriage, but always in a hypothetical, distant future kind of way. We both agreed that a big, flashy wedding wasn't for us. The thought of being the center of attention, the pressure, the cost, it all felt completely wrong. We envisioned something intimate, meaningful, just for us. The wedding planning for Sarah became an inescapable vortex. Every conversation revolved around floral arrangements, catering menus, guest lists, and the dreaded bridal shower. My mother kept trying to rope me into helping, despite my clear disinterest. "You're good with colors, darling. Can you help Sarah pick out the bridesmaid dresses? Or, you have an eye for detail. Surely you can help with the seating chart. I'd politely decline, citing work commitments, but the truth was, I just couldn't bring myself to immerse myself in something that felt so utterly alien to my own desires. The constant barrage of wedding talk made me feel even more invisible. My mother would often remark, with a sigh, "It's such a shame you haven't found someone yet, dear. You're not getting any younger, you know." It was like a constant reminder that my life, in her eyes, was incomplete because I wasn't following the same trajectory as Sarah. I'd just smile and nod, the resentment building like a slow burn. Then, about 6 months before Sarah's big day, something beautiful and unexpected happened. Alex and I were on one of our favorite hikes, a secluded trail that led to a breathtaking waterfall. We were just talking, laughing, enjoying the crisp autumn air when he stopped me, pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden box, and got down on one knee. There was no diamond ring, just a simple, elegant silver band inside. He told me he couldn't imagine a single day without me, that I was his home, his muse, his best friend. He didn't ask me to marry him in the traditional sense. He asked me to build a life with him, to continue our quiet adventure together, to be his partner in everything. My heart swelled with a joy I had never experienced before. It was raw, authentic, and utterly perfect. I said yes, tears streaming down my face, and we sealed it with a kiss under the canopy of autumn leaves, the roar of the waterfall as our witness. We decided then and there that we didn't need a spectacle. We wanted a marriage, not just a wedding. A few weeks later, we went to the courthouse, just the two of us, dressed in our everyday clothes. We exchanged vows, signed the papers, and just like that, we were married. No fanfare, no guests, no expensive dresses or caterers. Just us, making a lifelong commitment. We celebrated afterward with a quiet dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, savoring every moment of our secret. We decided not to tell anyone, not yet. We wanted to bask in our newlywed bubble, away from the inevitable drama and comparisons that would surely follow if my family found out, especially with Sarah's wedding on the horizon. So, that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was, a married woman, happily so, watching my sister have the wedding of her dreams, a dream my mother had practically orchestrated. And then came my mother's loaded question, filled with expectation and a hint of pity. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have kept your secret, let your mother and sister have their moment without interruption, or would you have done what I did? The music was still playing softly in the background, a live string quartet performing some classical piece. My sister Sarah, radiant in her elaborate white gown, was across the room, laughing with her new husband, David. My father, always the stoic one, had a rare, genuine smile on his face. And then there was my mother, looking at me with that familiar expression, a mix of love, concern, and a touch of disappointment that I wasn't following the traditional path. Her question, "When do you think it will finally be your turn, darling?" hung in the air, a direct challenge to my perceived singlehood. For years I had quietly absorbed her judgments, her comparisons, her subtle slights. But something in me snapped that day. It wasn't anger, not exactly. It was a sudden, overwhelming surge of defiance, a quiet rebellion that had been simmering for decades. I deserved to be seen, to be acknowledged, to have my happiness recognized, even if it didn't fit her preconceived notions. So, I looked her straight in the eye, that small, knowing smile on my lips, and the words just tumbled out, calm and clear. "It already happened, Mom." For a split second, she just stared at me, her smile slowly faltering, confusion clouding her features. Then her eyes widened, and a gasp escaped her lips. "What did you say?" she whispered, her voice barely audible above the din of the reception. I said it already happened. I repeated, a little louder this time, my gaze unwavering. "Alex and I got married 6 months ago." The moment I spoke those words, it was like a ripple effect. The nearby conversations died down, one by one. Heads began to turn. Sarah, sensing a shift in the atmosphere, looked over, her expression going from joyful to bewildered. My father, usually oblivious, actually stopped mid-sip of his champagne. My mother, utterly dumbfounded, could only stammer, "Married? What do you mean, married? Why wasn't I told? Why wasn't we told?" "Because we didn't want a spectacle, Mom," I explained, my voice still calm, though I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me. "We just wanted to get married. No fuss, no huge expense, just us. It was perfect." Her face was a kaleidoscope of emotions: shock, betrayal, hurt, and underlying it all, a flash of her characteristic disapproval. But what about a proper wedding, a dress, guests, my daughter's wedding?" She sputtered, her voice rising now, attracting even more attention. Sarah was making her way over, her eyes darting between me and our mother. "This was a proper wedding, Mom." I insisted gently but firmly. "Proper for us. It was everything we wanted." By this point, Sarah had reached us. "What's going on?" she asked, her brow furrowed. My mother, still reeling, pointed a shaky finger at me. "Your sister, she says she's married to Alex, and she didn't tell a soul." Sarah's jaw dropped. She looked at me, then at Alex, who had now come to stand protectively by my side, a small, proud smile on his face. He simply squeezed my hand, offering his silent support. "You're married?" Sarah asked, her voice quiet, almost an accusation. "Yes, we are," I confirmed, my voice softening as I looked at Alex. 6 months ago. The immediate aftermath was, as expected, chaotic. My mother burst into tears, declaring that I had ruined Sarah's day, that I was selfish and inconsiderate. Sarah, to her credit, didn't seem as angry as I had anticipated. She was more confused, hurt that I hadn't confided in her. "Why didn't you tell me, Em?" she asked, her voice laced with genuine pain. "I thought we were sisters." I explained our reasons, about wanting something intimate, about not wanting to detract from her special day, ironic, I know, given the current situation, and about simply wanting to be married, without all the pomp and circumstance. Alex, in his quiet way, stepped in and explained how much we loved each other, and how the simplicity of our wedding perfectly reflected our relationship. The reception quickly became a two-part event: Sarah and David's beautiful celebration, and then, in hushed tones, the sudden revelation of my secret marriage. Some relatives were shocked, some amused, some even impressed by our unconventional approach. My father, after recovering from his initial surprise, actually looked at me with a glimmer of respect I hadn't seen before. "Well, he muttered, shaking his head with a faint smile. My mother eventually calmed down, though she still gave me the cold shoulder for the rest of the night. She saw it as a personal affront, a deliberate act of defiance. In the days and weeks that followed, the dust settled. Sarah eventually came around, admitting that while she was hurt I hadn't told her, she understood our desire for a private ceremony. She even gave me a heartfelt hug and congratulated me, truly happy for my happiness. My mother, however, took longer to thaw. It wasn't until Alex and I invited her and my father over for a quiet dinner at our apartment, where we showed them our simple wedding photos and shared stories from our courthouse day, that she finally started to come to terms with it. She still expressed disappointment that she hadn't been there, that she hadn't gotten to plan my daughter's wedding. But she also saw how genuinely happy Alex and I were. Slowly, grudgingly, she accepted it. My father, on the other hand, became quite fond of Alex, often bringing up our secret wedding. With a chuckle, looking back, I don't regret it, not one bit. That moment, standing there at my sister's extravagant wedding, finally asserting my own happiness and my own choices, was incredibly liberating. It was a culmination of years of feeling overlooked, of constantly being compared, and of quietly rebelling against expectations that were never truly mine. It wasn't about ruining Sarah's day. It was about finally claiming my own. It taught me that happiness isn't always found in grand gestures or public approval, but often in the quiet, personal moments that truly define us. My marriage to Alex, simple and understated, is a testament to that. So, if you've ever felt like you're living in someone else's shadow, or like your choices aren't good enough because they don't fit a certain mold, remember that your happiness is your own to define. Don't be afraid to take a different path, even if it means raising a few eyebrows. Like this video if you were on my side in this whole family drama. Subscribe for more stories like this, where people finally stand up for themselves, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.